What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the newly crowned featherweight champion Ilia Topuria and how I would predict them against every single top 10 ranked featherweight contender. Let's start out with the number 1 ranked contender, which is Alexander Volkanovski, and in a rematch, I would have to take Ilia Topuria. I picked him the first time by round 2 KO, got that correct, and in a rematch, I would be much more confident that Ilia Topuria would win, considering Volk is now coming off of 2 straight knockout losses at the age of 35. His athleticism will be declining, whereas Ilia Topuria at the age of 27 is entering into his athletic prime, has shown massive improvements from fight to fight, and also will be oozing with confidence after that knockout victory and becoming the champion. If Volk wins in a rematch, I think it would have to be working in the takedowns. He's going to have to get some respect from Topuria, but if that's the case, he's going to have to let his hands go a little bit, which is where I could see him getting caught on the feet. I think Topuria will be able to catch him. We saw Topuria slowly stalking him down, being very patient, and eventually letting his hands go and finding that big finish in round 2. I know a lot of people will say Volk was doing very good, and if it made it out of round 2, he would have won that fight. I don't think that was the case. I think Topuria was very, very patient, waiting for the knockout shot to come to him, waiting for that big opportunity. We saw him kind of let his hands go a little bit more in round 2, and that was making me very, very nervous for Alexander Volkanovski. In the first round, very patient, wasn't really forcing anything, and that's what I think has been a massive improvement from Ilia Topuria throughout his career. In the past against Jai Herbert, he was really trying to make something happen early, almost forcing it a little bit, and then he got head kick knocked out after being put on the back foot. So a lot of people are saying Yair has a good chance. A lot of people are saying Max Holloway will be able to pressure since Holloway has a very good chin, and I'll get to those matches in just one second, but when it came down to it, I saw him against Josh Emmett look very patient. That's why I liked him here against Volkanovski, because Volkanovski gets hit at times, and Topuria has that power that Volkanovski's past opponents don't. I want to bring this up too. That right hand, if it lands on any version of Volkanovski, it's flatlining him. That was so beautifully set up. He framed it and landed it at like the perfect angle. Volk did go straight into it, but at the end of the day, Volk didn't look bad, guys. That wasn't a horrible version of Volk. He didn't look that altered by the Makhachev KO. He looked quick. He was landing a couple of counters right before that KO. Ilia Topuria went for a right hand, and Volk countered it with the jab very quickly, and I was like, damn, Volk looks switched on, but Topuria very slowly pressuring, and considering he just knocked out Volk, it's going to be very hard for Volk to find a way to pressure unless he has a massive takedown threat, really working the jab. It's going to be hard for him to stay just out of the power and not get clipped throughout one of those 5 rounds. And we really can't trust his chin now, considering 2 knockout losses in a row. And I don't think that he would be able to have too much success with the grappling, considering Topuria has solid counter grappling. He stuffed a lot of the takedowns from Bryce Mitchell. I think he stuffed 8 out of 9. And when he got taken down, he stayed very calm. Sure, he didn't really work his way back up to the feet, but it was towards the end of the round, so he didn't really mind being on his back. But in a matchup against Alexander Volkanovski, I think he could get back up to the feet. Considering Yair Rodriguez did it a couple times, then Volk did find the takedowns, but Yair Rodriguez's takedown defense really is not that good. He got taken down by Ortega. He got taken down by Max Holloway, Volk, other fighters as well. His takedown defense has never been that good, so I don't think it's that impressive that Volk was able to take him down and really beat him on the ground. And Topuria has really slick BJJ. He's been a BJJ black belt for a long time. When he got into the UFC against Yusuf Zalal, I remember the commentators saying that he had been a BJJ black belt for 3 years. He's now been in the UFC for right around 4. So he's been a black belt for around 6 to 7 years. That just tells you this guy is very slick when it comes to his grappling. He started out as a grappler with a Greco-Roman wrestling base. I just think that when it comes to the grappling, Volk won't be able to hold him down for the whole time, and when it is on the feet, Topuria will be much more aggressive, putting Volk on the back foot, and Volk might not be as quick as he once used to be. I can't trust Volk there. I'd be much more confident in Topuria. Like I said, I'd pick him by round 1 or 2 KO. I think at the pace that he was fighting against Volk too, since he was staying so patient, not really overextending like he did against Bryce Mitchell, he probably could have gone 5 rounds. If Volk was to win that fight, I was telling you guys, he would probably have to find takedowns or really pressure on the feet and bring the pace to Topuria, but even then, Topuria has shown some very improved just counters, right? So he would be the pick, round 1 or 2 KO over Volk. I'd give him like pretty damn solid chance, right? I'd be very confident there. But you can't rule out Volk. Like, he's a smart guy. He would know what he was having success with. And yeah, he was beating Topuria up until the knockout, but that's kind of how Topuria fights. He's looking for the knockout. He's lining it up, and he did it very well, especially in that combination. That frame was insane. Props to Topuria. He looks very good. I think he could become the featherweight GOAT. And with that being said, let's move on to the number 2 ranked contender, which is Max Holloway. I was heavily considering Max Holloway. This is the hardest matchup in the entire division for him, simply because Max Holloway has a great chin. And if Max disregards the power from Ilia Topuria or doesn't get hurt, he can win this fight, right? He could be the guy to bring the pressure to Ilia Topuria. I know Topuria has been 5 rounds, so a lot of people will say, well, Topuria, man, he's going to beat people by decision, this, that, the other. He would beat Max Holloway by decision for sure. I don't know if that's the case, because we have seen these guys that are able to really pressure nonstop. We saw this in Jack Hermanson versus Joe Pyfer. I'm trying to think of a couple other fights, but when there's these knockout guys slowly pressuring in, and when they don't find the knockout, when it comes to the later rounds, and we got a guy with great cardio that's able to pressure, work in a jab, and just nonstop be busy, that's when they start to gas out. Like Joe Pyfer, I guess he's never been to a decision, so that's not the greatest example, but it's just an example of a guy that typically he's used to pressuring people, but then he eventually gets pressured, and it's a completely different story. I do think that Topuria off the back foot is much better than Joe Pyfer, and I've made that comparison multiple times throughout last week's fight week, so I don't think it's the great comparison, but it's just something to be said. What happens when he's going 5 rounds and he's not pressuring Josh Emmett, dictating the pace the whole time? And Max Holloway, with his great chin, if he completely disrespects the power, could potentially make that happen, but I do think that Topuria does have the tools to beat Max Holloway. Reasonings behind it is, number one, Topuria's leg kicks are very underrated. I said this all fight week build-up for UFC 298. The first low kick he landed on Bryce Mitchell made Bryce Mitchell switch stances. Against Josh Emmett, he was making Josh Emmett's legs crumple by landing like only 10 leg kicks. Against Volkanovski, he landed like 2 or 3, and then Volk had to address it, switching stances. You could tell Volk really respected it. His leg was welting up. When he lands low kicks, they're super powerful, and Max Holloway has been low-kicked multiple times throughout his career. Volkanovski exposed this. Yair Rodriguez, there's a couple other fights as well. And people are going to be bringing up the Dustin Poirier fight for this one, where Dustin Poirier has better cardio than Ilia Topuria, right? He's been pushing insane paces for 5 rounds for a lot of his career. And I get that. Same thing with Max Holloway as well, but there was no low kicks there, and not only that, like Dustin Poirier was landing one shot consistently over and over and over again the first 3 rounds, and it was that right hand, the rear right hand, and it was hurting Max Holloway. He was rocked multiple times. I know Max has a great chin, but now that he's cutting, or not cutting up to the lightweight division, he's bulking up to the lightweight division. After Justin Gaethje, depending on how that fight goes, I might view this fight a little bit differently, and I'm going to be picking Justin Gaethje there for similar reasons here, but Justin Gaethje's got good low kicks. That'll have success. Anyways, now that Max is bulked up to the lightweight division, he'll have new muscle mass, and he's already had a really rough weight cut to the featherweight division. Cutting back down to the 145-pound division after bulking up to the lightweight division isn't a good sign. After taking damage against Justin Gaethje, because even if he wins, he's going to be taking a large amount of damage, I think Ilia Topuria is a hard-hitting lightweight. Like, this dude has insane power. He's very good at placing his shots. He's very accurate with it. And like I said, Max Holloway's been tagged by right hands a lot. Volkanovski did it multiple times. TKZ even hit him a couple of times with that right hand. When it comes to the low kicks, I think I already mentioned Yair Rodriguez. But yeah, I mean, one of Topuria's best strikes is that straight right hand. We saw it against Alexander Volkanovski. Not only that, he threatened some very solid hooks, punches to the body. I think Holloway is a longer frame, so Topuria could have success with the punches to the body. But if Holloway can pressure, then he can have a lot of success. But Holloway was getting pressured by TKZ at times. He was getting pressured by Arnold Allen. And Topuria's pressure is a little bit different. It's a lot more subtle. He's slowly marching forward, constantly threatening his power. And when you try to pressure him, what makes it so hard to put him on the back foot is he'll slip and then he pivots. He doesn't slip and then retreat like Dustin Poirier did a little bit, like Volkanovski was doing in the 3rd fight. And to credit to Max Holloway, in the 3rd fight against Alexander Volkanovski, he pressured the whole fucking time. But Volk was finding counters consistently, and Topuria has some fantastic counters, the more powerful counters. And some of the counters that Volk was landing are pretty similar to the counters that Josh Emmett was getting pieced up with against Ilia Topuria. Maybe not the exact same. Obviously, Topuria has longer strung out combinations and was landing and hurting Josh Emmett at almost any time he landed clean. But the thing with Max Holloway is, what if he just eats all these shots and he doesn't give a fuck? That would be insane. That's how he could win the fight. He's got some solid takedown defense, so I'll bring that up too. He stuffed a lot of the takedowns against Frankie Edgar. I checked the stats recently just because I wanted to say it going into this video. He stuffed 14 out of the 15 takedowns coming from Frankie Edgar. Now you guys know how stats work. Sometimes they count takedown attempts as some bullshit, but he's got good takedown defense. He stuffed a lot of the takedowns from Alexander Volkanovski in the 2nd fight, but was taken down 3 times. And what that tells me is Topuria probably can find some takedowns. Considering he has that great overhand right, that transitions very well into looking like a level change. and he can just be throwing that nonstop and then working his takedown, and Max will be thinking the overhand right's coming, but nope, there's a takedown. Boom, he's down on the ground. But Max is a BJJ black belt, has some solid submission defense. Sure, his grappling hasn't been tested against the greatest grapplers in the world, but I do think Max should be able to survive on the ground, potentially get back up to the feet. But Topuria is no joke on the ground. There could be a takedown threat there. Cardio, I favor Max. Chin, I favor Max, but Topuria's chin is insane. He took a crazy head kick from that one fucker, the long, rangy Jai Herbert, and he took a head kick on the regional scene as well. But when he's gotten clipped with big shots, he recovers very well and finds knockouts or submissions, whatever it might be. It'd be a very interesting fight. I'd love to see how Max Holloway does against Justin Gaethje. That would be a very big part of how I see that going. But ultimately, the leg kicks will be there for Topuria. They're going to be more damaging than some of the other leg kickers he's faced in the past. I'm talking about Max Holloway. He's going to be landing that overhand right. He's going to be slowly pressuring. And unlike Poirier, unlike TKZ and these other fighters, he's not going to be backing up the same way. I think that he'll slip and then he'll just pivot and then throw some counters of his own, constantly just demanding respect. That's Topuria's style. It's insane. It's so hard to pressure back on the guy. Sure, you'll get some respect, but he'll slowly march forward, be patient, find the big shots. That straight right hand will be there. And at the end of the day, Max Holloway is very hittable, and you don't want to be hittable against the toughest, not the toughest, but one of the hardest hitters in the featherweight division. I'd say him and Josh Emmett are the top two, but he's the more dangerous power because of how accurate he is with it and how well he sets it up. I was saying leading into the Volk fight, very technical. A lot of people were saying, well, he just got a knockout chance. No, he is very technical. He's being massively underrated. He's very patient. He will line up that shot. He also rolls with punches very well. Maybe Holloway finds a TKO in the later rounds if Topuria gasses and he pushes an insane pace throughout the first few rounds. But I do think it's so hard to push that pace on Topuria because of the respect you have to have for his power and his slow, not plotty ability, but the way he just kind of slowly walks forward, marches forward, looking for the knockout, and then eventually cuts you off, finds angles for those big shots. I think he can rip to the body, have success there against a taller opponent, and Max Holloway, who gets hit, who has been rocked before. I know his chin is insane, but the thing is, like, dude, when he's rocked and he's getting hurt, it's by overhand right punches. You can look at it, watch the Poirier fight back. It's there. Sure, he had success against Poirier. That wasn't a complete blowout, and in the later rounds, he was looking pretty damn good, but I'm just saying, I see something there from Max Holloway that will be there against Ilia Topuria. I think there's something else I want to mention here. But at the end of the day, if Max Holloway can go out there, pressure Topuria, not get knocked out because his chin is just that insane, which I don't know if I really like his chin after bulking up to lightweight and then cutting back down to the featherweight like I already have mentioned. I don't know. I don't know. Holloway's been taking a lot of damage throughout his career recently too. And like I said, he's been pressured in the past, and you aren't going to win a fight if you're getting pressured by Ilia Topuria. Yeah, man. So Topuria would be the pick. Maybe decision, maybe KO. I'm really interested to see how Holloway does against Justin Gaethje, because if he beats Justin Gaethje, he'll then get a title shot down at 145 against Topuria, and that fight would be insane. That would be such a fun build-up. Just a very interesting matchup. In my opinion, this is clearly the toughest matchup in the entire division for Ilia Topuria. You could argue Yair Rodriguez with the head kicks, but in my opinion, Topuria has been more patient, not really been rushing the knockout like he did against Jai Herbert. And when Volk threw that head kick, that hand was up, right? So I think Holloway is the toughest matchup for him. And I would still pick Ilia Topuria. That's a slight lean. I'm going to say like 52% chance now, but I would want to do a little bit more research on that, obviously, because I didn't go super into depth when it comes to watching film, and I like to when it comes to my predictions. But Topuria is the early pick. I think I stated my reasons pretty well. Let's move on to number 3, which is Yair Rodriguez. I would pick Ilia Topuria. Yair has been taken down by Holloway, Volkanovski, even Brian Ortega. He's got a fight coming up this Saturday, so we'll see how that plays out. But when it comes down to it, Topuria should be able to find the takedowns. He should be able to hold him down. He's got the higher level jiu-jitsu. He's got the higher level wrestling. And on the feet, Yair gets hit, and you don't want to be getting hit against Ilia Topuria. And Yair got knocked out, not knocked out, but TKO'd and caught with a massive shot by Alexander Volkanovski. I like Yair. I think he's fun, and he's got those head kicks to where a lot of people were saying, oh, Yair beats Ilia. No, Ilia can take him down if he does get hurt, right? Sure, Yair is super powerful, and if he catches him with the head kick, maybe we see a flatline KO, but even then, his chin is so damn good, dude. And he looks so patient against Volk. Go back, rewatch the fight. When Volk throws that head kick, that hand is up. He's staying patient. Just the massive defensive improvements. I'm surprised I haven't mentioned that throughout this video yet, but From the Bryce Mitchell fight onto the Josh Emmett fight, we saw massive defensive improvements. From the Jai Herbert fight all the way to the Volkanovski fight to the Josh Emmett fight, it's a night and day difference. He's massively improving every single fight he goes out there. I think his head kick defense is going to be massively improving. And when you're fighting Yair Rodriguez, Ilia Topuria is going to have his hand stuck up here the whole damn time. Maybe, just maybe, Ilia Topuria does do this. When he throws that right hand, it kind of just swings down, and that's when Yair could land the head kick, but Yair's only chances are on the feet. And on the feet, I think he could get caught with the big shot, considering Topuria will have a takedown threat. I mean, Topuria said in one of his interviews during fight week that Yair Rodriguez is a rag. So that tells you that he already knows he could take him down and have success on the ground. And when it is on the feet, like I said, he probably connects with a big shot and finds a knockout. I'd pick Topuria there. Yair does have a style on the feet in a pure striking match that is very scary for Topuria, but I might even favor Topuria outright there. Moving on to number 4 ranked, which is Brian Ortega. I'm going with Ilia Topuria. Sure, Brian Ortega has knocked out a couple of guys. He is rangy. Had a good performance against TKZ, a very impressive performance, by the way. But Topuria has some high-level jiu-jitsu as well. I think he could take down Ortega. Not that he'd want to, but he could most definitely. And on the feet, Brian Ortega is probably getting knocked out. Brian Ortega is so open to getting hit to the body. I think he would rip that all damn day. And, respect to Brian Ortega. Actually, I don't really like Brian Ortega. He's been out for a long time, holding up the division. Somehow this dude is ranked number 4. That is shocking to me, but oh well. I think Topuria has a very good style to beat Brian Ortega. Sure, Brian Ortega is rangy, and that might bring him problems, but Topuria's got a great chin. He probably will find a massive shot at some point. We saw Holloway just manhandle Brian Ortega. Same thing with Volk. I think Ilia is on these levels, and he will find a big shot and probably put away Brian Ortega. I'd say a body shot, TKO, first 3 rounds, something like that. I don't think Brian Ortega has a very good chance there. Moving on to number 5, which is Movsar Evloev. Let me bring up the Arnold Allen performance. I actually rewatched that fight right before this video, and everyone was calling that a robbery. I'm going to say this much. I don't think it was a robbery either way. Super, super close fight. When it comes down to it, Arnold Allen was up like 3 or 4 strikes on the feet, and then Movsar Evloev landed like 2 or 3 takedowns at the end of round 1. And I get it. He didn't do anything with the control time or the damage. He didn't do damage with it, right? But Arnold Allen was up 4 strikes maybe, and they weren't damaging. Like, there was no damage done in that round. So when you work in the takedowns at the end of the round, I really don't mind that going towards Movsar Evloev. It's a toss-up, really, really close one. I just don't see the damage that Arnold Allen did on the feet to really confidently give him that round. And I was rewatching it, slowing it down. There were a couple of shots that looked like they landed a lot more clean from Arnold Allen than they did on Movsar Evloev. It landed with the wrist a couple of times. I think there was a couple of shots that in real time looked like they landed a lot more clean for Arnold Allen. And same thing for Movsar Evloev as well. But when it came down to it, I thought Arnold Allen was slightly up on the feet. And then there was takedowns from Movsar Evloev, which made the round so, so close. Toss up. When it comes to the scoring criteria of MMA, I mean, it's subjective at this point. So, I mean, toss up for me. But when it came down to it, Movsar has good striking. He's got good wrestling. He doesn't have a good ability to finish this fight, which is why I would pick Ilia Topuria here. I think Topuria could stuff the takedowns. If not, he's got the better jiu-jitsu. We saw Diego Lopez put Movsar Evloev in some massive trouble there. When it came to the feet, Movsar can get clipped with some big shots, and Topuria probably will catch him. Topuria probably will slowly back him up. Maybe the takedown threat is really the kryptonite for Ilia Topuria, but even then, he knocked out Bryce Mitchell. He did look like a little bit sloppy in that fight where he overextended at times, but I think he was just getting really, really knockout horny, to be honest. So in this matchup, I think he stuffs the takedowns. If not, scrambles back up to the feet. If not, works well on the ground. Like, he could find dominant positions through his submission. If you watch the Yusuf Zalal fight, pretty impressive from him. When he was put in a bad position, he would threaten multiple positions and then get back on top in a dominant position. He's only been improving. I imagine his ground game is better than it was before, and he can use that to find dominant positions on the ground against Movsar Evloev, who probably is actually the better wrestler here. But Topuria, the more technical striker in my opinion. Evloev gets hit. Sure, he hurt Arnold Allen, and that's a very solid thing to do. But I don't trust his cardio either. I think if anyone has the cardio advantage, it's going to be Ilia Topuria. I can't trust Movsar Evloev to finish Ilia Topuria in a 5-round where I don't trust Evloev's cardio to go 5 rounds or his finishing ability. I have to go with Ilia Topuria there. Fairly confident, but I'm interested to see Movsar Evloev's next fight. Let's move on to the number 6 ranked fighter, which is Arnold Allen. I would pick Mr. Ilia Topuria here. I mean, Allen's good. This is actually a pretty tough matchup for him, I would say. But Arnold Allen did just get clipped by Movsar Evloev, who I don't view as that great of a striker. And he was getting hit multiple times against Max Holloway. I think Topuria would be able to pressure him, probably find a big shot, although Arnold Allen is very quick. Southpaw could bring him problems as well. But ultimately, it's just like he gets clipped. Sure, he's good at range. But, I mean, this is actually a tough matchup because I think he gets stuffed the takedowns from Ilia Topuria. He stuffed the takedowns from Movsar Evloev. So this one should be a striking fight. And on the feet, I mean, he moves pretty damn well, but I just can't trust him to survive Ilia Topuria for 5 rounds. Sure, he moves laterally pretty well, but my biggest criticism of Arnold Allen's game for quite some time has just been he's kind of low on volume. And, I mean, he's going to be off the back foot for most of this fight. I think Topuria slowly pressures forward, probably finds a big shot, maybe a TKO, but this is one of those matchups where I could see Arnold Allen being a stylistic nightmare for Topuria, but he does get hit. If you're getting hurt by Movsar Evloev, you're probably going to get knocked out by Ilia Topuria. And Max Holloway landed some clean shots on him as well. The one time he did rock him was in round 5, I want to say, and that was when he was blitzing in, looking for a knockout shot. He did very good against Max Holloway, but still not good enough. And I think Topuria is at that level of a striker to where he can set up a knockout shot, land big on Arnold Allen. He's got the better grappling game. Arnold can probably set the takedowns, but I'll say this much. There were certain positions that Movsar Evloev had Arnold Allen in at the end of round 1 where he had his back, that if that's Ilia Topuria, if he gets you down to the ground and you're on your knees in the position that Arnold Allen was on, he can latch up some hooks, he can threaten submissions. I just think Ilia Topuria is the more complete grappler than Movsar Evloev, although Movsar Evloev probably has the better wrestling. He does have the better wrestling, right? But on the feet, he probably lands a big shot, probably puts away Allen. Yeah, I mean, Arnold Allen's a good matchup. In favor of Allen, right? He's got a good chance there. But for now, Arnold Allen hasn't shown me enough to want to pick him there. Moving on to Josh Emmett. We've seen that fight. I think he probably knocks out Josh Emmett in a rematch. If not, just brutalizes him for 5 rounds again. I think he probably could have found a finish in the first fight, but he was trying to stay very patient, not really dump his cardio out the window. So I've broken down that performance multiple times throughout last week, so we'll move on. I'm picking him in a rematch against Emmett. Against Calvin Kattar. Kattar gets hit. You don't want to be getting hit by Ilia Topuria. Simple as I think Topuria lands a big shot and knocks him out. I'd be pretty confident in that one. He should be able to stuff the takedowns. Confident in that one, man. Yeah, dude. I mean, how many strikes did Holloway land on Kattar? Like 400? I mean, it's a simple breakdown. It's an annoying one. Kattar has good boxing, but his ability to just stay defensively sound has never been a key part of his career. He gets hit. Against Josh Emmett, he got hit a couple times. Sure, he stayed defensively sound, but you lost by decision to Josh fucking Emmett. And not only that, Josh Emmett, that was a robbery in my opinion. Let me say that much. But even then, Josh Emmett sucks, dude. I mean, technically, Josh Emmett is not a good striker. And he didn't even rock you. Josh Emmett didn't even rock you and still beat you. Robbery, but you get my point. Calvin Kattar will get hit by Ilia Topuria, and Ilia Topuria probably knocks a dude out or brutalizes him for a large part of the fight. Calvin Kattar has good takedown defense, but it hasn't been tested against some of the better wrestlers of the division, so maybe Topuria gets him down, and Topuria has the advantage when it comes to the ground, the BJJ realm. Moving on to Giga Chikadze. I'm picking him over Giga Chikadze. Look, Giga gets hit. Calvin Kattar hit him multiple times. Calvin Kattar took him down. Ilia probably takes him down, right? When it comes to submission game, Ilia has a better submission game than Calvin Kattar. He probably submits him if it goes to the ground. When it's on the feet, Giga Chikadze, sure, he has good head kicks. He's got that dope teep kick. They call it the Giga kick, right? The one he landed against Edson Barbosa. But he gets hit. He was getting hit by Edson Barbosa. Well, I mean, true, but I was trying to bring up the Alex Caceres performance, not Edson Barbosa. Caceres landed clean. Kattar brutalized him, landed a lot of big shots. I think Topuria has the power to put this guy away. Although he's very tough, he's coming off a groin injury, tore his groin, something like that, and is getting up there in age. So Topuria would be the pick. And then finally, we have Bryce Mitchell in a rematch. I'm taking Ilia Topuria. He's improving. He's going to be a little bit more patient. Probably knocks him out or submits him in the first couple of rounds. And Bryce Mitchell's coming off a knockout loss to Josh Emmett, who Ilia brutalized. Anyways, when it comes down to it, I pick him against anybody. If he stays active, I think he beats everyone in this division and can become the featherweight GOAT. He's 27 years old, so he has a lot of time to do it. He's going to be improving rapidly. Another fight I'll briefly look into is Sean O'Malley versus Ilia Topuria. I'd pick Ilia Topuria. Petr Yan took down Sean O'Malley. I think so could Ilia Topuria, and even if it is primarily on the feet. Sean O'Malley gets hit, and you can't be getting hit against Ilia Topuria. Sure, he got hit by Petr Yan, who is a very solid striker, but at the end of the day, who hits harder than Petr Yan? Ilia Topuria. I mean, that's a very basic, annoying breakdown, but in all fairness, Sean O'Malley is really quick, has very good footwork, and if he's moving like a maniac, I could see him having a pretty good chance in this fight. That's the hot take. He stuffed takedowns from Aljamain Sterling, but Ilia is going to be stronger. He's going to be fucking probably landing a big shot, putting away Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley's got a fair chance, though. Like, I genuinely mean that, and that's not even me. Like, I'm a Sean O'Malley hater. I don't like the guy. I think he's very good when it comes to his skills. But maybe it's these guys with a lot of speed that can land the big shots at range against Ilia Topuria. I mean, we saw the rangy guy in Jai Herbert. Granted, much more rangy than Sean O'Malley, but a rangy guy land big shots on Ilia. I think Ilia's improved massively since then. He's only going to be massively improving, so I have to pick him over Sean O'Malley, but Sean O'Malley will be improving too. Great footwork from O'Malley, really quick, really rangy, could land a big shot, but I can't trust his power against Ilia Topuria because we've seen Ilia Topuria's chin, and it is nasty. He could potentially disregard the power of Sean O'Malley. I see him cutting off Sean O'Malley at some point, landing a big shot or working in takedowns and having the better of Sean O'Malley on the ground. Interesting, but Ilia Topuria has to be the pick. Anyways, I think he probably becomes the new featherweight GOAT if he beats Max Holloway. That's the matchup I'm really scared about. If he beats Max Holloway, he probably beats everyone else, and he's going to be improving rapidly. I'm a pretty big fan of this guy. His performance against Volk was crazy to watch. I love Volk. I really feel for Volk, and I kind of wish that he wasn't calling for the rematch against Ilia Topuria because at the end of the day, he's probably getting knocked out again, and he's going to tarnish his legacy even further. But you got to respect Volk. The reason why he wants this fight back is the same reason why he's had so much success throughout his career. Anyways, that's going to conclude this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.